Starlink just raised its prices again in 2026, and most people buying it right now have no idea what they're actually signing up for. I've spent weeks digging through real speed test data, real pricing changes, and real user reports from this year, not the marketing page. And some of what I found is going to change whether you hit order today or wait. Stick around, because the answer isn't as simple as yes or no. It depends entirely on where you live and what you already have. If you live somewhere fiber or cable doesn't reach, or your current internet is unreliable, you've probably considered Starlink. This video is for you if you want a straight answer before spending on hardware and a monthly bill that isn't small. By the end, you'll know exactly what speeds to realistically expect in 2026, what it actually costs now that pricing has changed, what actually slows it down day to day, and whether it's worth it for your specific situation. I'm not reading you a spec sheet, and I'm not repeating what Starlink's own marketing page says. I'm walking you through what real 2026 data and my own testing actually shows, including the parts that don't make it into most reviews. Most people expect Starlink to feel like fiber beamed from space. Instant, unlimited, no compromises. The reality in 2026 is more nuanced than that. The network has matured a lot since the early rollout. More satellites, laser inter-satellite links, better hardware. But it's also carrying millions more subscribers than it used to, and pricing has shifted multiple times this year alone. That gap between the marketing promise and the real, current experience is exactly where people either get their money's worth or feel misled after the fact. There is one problem most reviews from even a year ago get wrong. They're using outdated numbers. Starlink's performance and pricing in 2026 are genuinely different from 2023 and 2024. Plans have been restructured, prices have moved, and the network itself behaves differently under today's subscriber load. So let's rebuild this from the ground up using current data. What do you actually get in the box and how hard is setup? The standard kit includes the dish, router, cables, and mount. As of 2026, you can either buy it outright for $349 or rent it for as little as $0 to $10 a month depending on your plan and region. Starlink shifted several markets to a rental-first model this year, so check what's actually offered at your address before assuming you're buying anything outright. The compact Starlink Mini is also available as a lighter, more portable option for travelers or smaller setups. Setup time varies significantly by hardware. Starlink Mini is plug-and-play, typically under 6 minutes to get online. Standard residential hardware takes longer, roughly 6 to 15 minutes for physical assembly and initial satellite alignment. End-to-end, most users are seeing a full handshake in 15 to 22 minutes max, though full performance optimization and obstruction scanning can continue running in the background for up to 13 hours as the dish updates firmware and finishes mapping the local sky. The equipment fee structure has changed more than once in the past year, so the price you see advertised may not be the price you actually pay long-term. Confirm current terms at checkout, not from an old article, including this one, months from now. Here's the part that surprised me. Getting online in under 20 minutes feels instant, but the dish isn't actually done. It keeps quietly scanning and mapping the sky around it for up to 13 hours afterward. So if your speeds feel a little inconsistent on day one, that's not a fluke. That's the system still calibrating. What speeds does Starlink actually deliver in 2026? Real-world performance varies a lot depending on hardware and plan tier, so let's break it down properly. Starlink's standard residential runs 75 to 220 megabits per second download, with a US median around 104 to 130 megabits per second and a European median closer to 165 megabits per second. Peak bursts can reach 250 to 350 megabits per second. Upload runs 10 to 40 megabits per second, and latency sits at 20 to 60 milliseconds, typically 25 to 50 milliseconds in clear weather. Starlink Mini delivers 35 to 100 megabits per second download, though portable testing has hit 150 plus Mbps in non-congested cells, with 5 to 15 megabits per second upload and 25 to 60 millisecond latency. Priority and business tiers deliver 135 to 310 plus Mbps download, 20 to 44 megabits per second upload, and 20 to 40 millisecond latency, the tier built for people who genuinely can't tolerate slowdowns. That's a massive improvement over older satellite internet, which often sat above 600 millisecond latency. But it also means Starlink speed isn't one single number you can quote.
Which tier, which hardware, and which region someone's reviewing matters a lot for whether their experience will match yours. They compare Starlink to fiber on raw download numbers alone and ignore that Starlink's real advantage over other satellite options is latency, not peak speed. If your alternative is HughesNet or Viasat, Starlink isn't an upgrade.
It's a completely different category of usable internet. Several 2026 reports note that download speeds appear to be plateauing as the network matures, even while latency and upload speeds keep improving. That's worth knowing if raw download number is your main buying factor, because the ceiling you're chasing may already be close to where it's going to stay. Does it actually stay connected, and when does it struggle? 3 factors consistently move the numbers in 2026 data. Peak hours. Speeds typically drop 20 to 30% during high congestion evening hours, roughly 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., exactly when most households want it most. Weather, moderate to heavy rain causes temporary drops of 10 to 20%. It's rarely a total outage, but it's noticeable if you're mid-video call. Obstructions. Trees or roofline obstructions blocking the dish's field of view are the biggest wildcard. They can degrade bandwidth by 20 to 50%, or cause frequent micro outages that are genuinely annoying if you don't catch them during setup. Starlink has also introduced congestion-related charges, up to $100 in some high-demand zones as of 2026, which is a cost most buying guides conveniently leave out. If you're in a dense suburban area where a lot of your neighbors are also on Starlink, or if your view of the sky is partially blocked by trees or a roofline, your real experience may sit toward the lower end of the ranges above rather than the top. So don't buy expecting the ceiling number. How much does Starlink really cost today? Not on the old pricing page you might have seen months ago. As of mid-2026, US residential plans run roughly residential 100, the 100 megabits per second tier, at $55 a month. Residential 200 at $85 a month. Residential Max, the highest priority tier with speeds up to 400 plus Mbps, at $130 a month. Standby mode, for pause or backup, at $10 a month. And hardware, $349 for the standard kit outright, or $0 to $10 a month rental in select markets. Prices increased across most tiers earlier this year, and that middle residential 200 tier specifically has crept up since the last round of changes. Promotional and regional pricing can differ significantly from these standard rates. Some states have seen deep promotional discounts, others are paying full price with no discount at all. Your promotional rate, if you get one, isn't guaranteed to last. Several users have reported reverting to standard pricing once the promo period ends, sometimes without much warning. Confirm the exact term length before you commit to anything. Is it worth the money? Based on current 2026 data, if you have no access to cable or fiber, Starlink is genuinely one of the strongest options available. The latency and speed gap versus legacy satellite internet isn't close, and it's not particularly close for people stuck on old DSL either. If you already have solid fiber or cable at a competitive price, the math is much harder to justify given the monthly cost here. And if you're in a congested area or dealing with obstructions, factor in that your rail speeds may sit well below the advertised ceiling. Plan around the median, not the best case number. After going through the current numbers, I believe Starlink earns its price for people who genuinely have no better wired option, but if fiber or cable is available at your address, this isn't an easy yes anymore given where pricing landed in 2026. The right call really does depend on your specific address, your usage, and how much congestion your local cell is dealing with, so don't just copy what worked for your neighbor 3 states over. Let me know in the comments. What speeds are you actually getting on your plan right now? I read every one.